Morning, David. Did you get
Morning.
much rest last night?
Yeah, I got a good sleep. I always sleep well, so back at it again this morning.
Back at it. Reflection on last night's performance, was it just more pleasing to pick up that win, get the 3 points at the top of the group?
I think you might do it a disservice when you consider the opposition. So sometimes, people think it's easy to win these games, but let me tell you, unless you're in the seat and you're taking the team, there's no easy games in Europe. I've never found an easy game in Europe yet. I think this year we've probably our toughest group we've had, and proved to be the case last night. Very tight game, but fortunately we got the victory.
Any injury problems after the game, or will you not know until?
I really don't know yet. Your early press conference makes it really difficult for me to give you any update.
And a weekly or almost like a every 2-day update on the situation with Kurt Zuma. How's he recovering?
We'll have another look this morning, as I said. Not really the chance to get in and assess and hear what the medical staff have said yet, but hopefully he's making some progress and getting closer to playing.
On Sunday it'll be your 7th game in 22 days. Now I know over the last couple of seasons playing in Europe, your side's maybe becoming accustomed to playing those midweek and weekend, but does it feel like this has been maybe one of the toughest periods of fixtures?
I don't think it's been any different than what we've had in recent seasons, but ultimately it's still very difficult. To be playing the games regular is tough. But look, we'd rather have it. I think everybody wants to be in Europe if you can do it. One of the European competitions, if you can be in the Champions League, you might be fortunate and get a Tuesday Saturday or a Tuesday Sunday game. In this competition, you can only ever have Thursday and you can only ever have Sunday really for the game. So it makes that sort of difficult thing to deal with. But we've dealt with it pretty well in the last couple of years. It's not easy in the Premier League games, but we're giving it a really good go.
And focus on Sunday and Forest. Does it make this game maybe an extra element to it that makes it that much more crucial going into an international break afterwards to pick up 3 points, and especially because of the run you've had in the Premier League recently?
I think every game's really important. You have to win, so you can only win the one in front of you. We'll have to try and play well. Notts Forest is a decent team. They had a great result last week, so we're going to have to play well. Yes, we'd like to improve on a couple of recent results, but in between that, it's easy to forget that we've beaten Arsenal in the cup as well in the midweek, and then we've just had a win last night. So when you put all those games together, of course the Premier League will always be the games we look for, but there's also been some very good wins in the mix of that as well.
And Steve Cooper, tell me a little bit more about the job you think he's done at Forest, because obviously going second season in the Premier League, there's always been this talk of a second season syndrome. Not always the case, but he's done a remarkable job, hasn't he? He's
done a brilliant job. Don't think I was surprised by it, but overall he done great last year to keep them up, and they look as if they're building on it this year. They've bought a lot of players over the last 2 years and kept moving the team on, so I think they've done a good job, yes.
Well, yesterday Gareth Southgate announced his England squad, took a call up for Jarrod Bowen, not a call up for James Ward-Prowse. Does that surprise you at all that he's been omitted again?
I say this every time the internationals come around. I think that Gareth is doing an unbelievable job for England. I think England have got, I'm saying sadly a little bit being a Scotsman, that I think England have got such a good group of players, so many players to choose from, really good players. James is one of them, and he's competing and he has to try and keep pushing. So I'm disappointed that he didn't get in, but Gareth's the manager and picks his squads very well.
What's been the players' reaction? We saw the reaction on the pitch last night, setting up the goal beautifully, but what's his reaction to missing out? Because I can imagine it's a real ambition of his, particularly in a year where you've got the Euros at the end of the season.
Yeah, what he's got to do is keep playing well, keep making it difficult for the manager, keep being involved in assists, scoring goals, which he has done since the start of the season. So if he does that, there might be a moment come around where Gareth says, hey, I'm going to give him another go. But meanwhile, you've still got to play well, and he's doing well for us, and he's a great lad. He's settled in really quickly. So from that point of view, we're really pleased. But from my side, I hope that he keeps scoring and playing well for West Ham.
Finally, for me, I know this week the LMA have been in discussions with the PGMOL. I just wanted, I guess, to hear your thoughts on where you think VAR, the process around VAR, whether it's the appointment of a VAR specialist, could be improved upon in this league?
Well, my opinion, it doesn't really matter. And what I say, you're just going to ask all the managers a similar question, I'm guessing, because of VAR. I think we're all pretty disappointed with lots of aspects, but I think we're also very much in favour of trying to make it work. I just think that we've all been disappointed with probably some of the officiating as well this season. But look, my single opinion wouldn't matter a jot, and they'll do what they need to do.
But do you think your opinion, for us certainly sitting here, I can imagine we're all probably thinking your opinion does matter. Somebody who's in the game, managing a Premier League club, fans are looking and thinking, your opinion does. It holds a lot of value.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably interested to hear.
Yeah, but when we're putting it over, it's not getting much clout at the other end. So you can ask us as a journalist, and we're thinking that we're not getting an awful lot of back when we're giving it back to the officials or to whoever. I said last week in the press conference, I think there's been a couple of big incidents which have been highlighted, but it's mainly probably the top clubs. It's as if we don't think that some other clubs don't have the same problems, same VAR problems, same decision makings, and it doesn't get the same highlight. So I think we're all pretty disappointed by some of it what we've been getting back.
So do you think it's a case of, because some of the bigger clubs, i.e. last week Arsenal making a bit of noise about it, do you think that's what it's going to take for changes to be made?
No, because we don't want to do it, because the managers will be fined for speaking out of turn, and you're asking me questions which I could get fined for speaking out of turn. So you're asking us mainly after the games, for 20 minutes after games, you're asking us questions which should actually put us in trouble about referees or about officiating. So most of the managers don't want to say anything about it because we know that we're locked down by. So I nearly hope that the journalists in the Sky, for example, would respect the managers and don't put them in those positions. But if clubs or managers choose to have an outburst, then that's their choice. They can do that.
Can you understand though why questions are asked at that time, straight after a game, and we can sit and we understand the emotions that footballers, managers go through during those moments. But for fans, we want to hear the emotional side of managers. We want that freedom.
I think,
Does there maybe need to be some understanding from the authorities that emotions are high and that should be taken into consideration?
Yeah, but we can't do it. So you don't get the managers' true emotions. We have to be defensive. We have to sit back. We don't give a lot of our true feelings. But that's because you ask us questions which we know we're going to be fined or we're going to be charged with, so we can't do it. So I think you're taking that up with the wrong people. I think you should take it up with the FA, for example, and speak to them about if you want more from the managers and their honest opinions on VAR or their honest opinions on referees' performances. But to continue asking the managers, I think you're not going to get anywhere, because we're not going to come up with anything else. And now and again you'll get outbursts, and maybe that's what you want.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Sarah, PLP.
Hello, and congrats on the win last
Thank you.
Mohamed Kudus has obviously had a great start with West Ham. He's had 2 goals in 2 league starts. Is there anything about his game, do you think, right now that still needs a bit of polishing?
Yeah, I think he's still getting used to us. We're still getting used to him a little bit. His overall play at times has been, bits of his play has been very, very good. I'm looking for him to be more creative, but again, he's really just settling into the Premier League, and I think he's settled in really, really well. Like, we brought in some really good players last year, and they took much, much longer to settle in than Mo. Mo's made a big impact with 3 or 4 goals, maybe. I don't know how many exactly, but he's had a few goals for us. So he's certainly helped, and I think the crowd and everybody's well aware of how well he's doing.
Fantastic. It is early, but the time's going quick. Of course, there's Africa Cup of Nations in January, and you do have a few players that probably will go for their club. Have you thought ahead of what you want to do in that transfer window at the moment?
We've actually talked about it a couple of times, because obviously we've got 3 or 4 players possibly away, depending on who's called. So it's something, but I don't think it'll necessarily make us go out and buy more players, if that's what you're alluding to. I don't see us being that. I think we'll need to work out exactly how long we think the players, what games they might exactly miss because of when they're away, etc. But it's always a difficult time when you're losing players to the African nations. It really is.
You've not won in your last 4 league games. You've had
think we started the season really well, and I think we got some great results which gave us a really good platform. I think there's some other circumstances which might get involved in. For example, I think all the teams we've played have had a week to prepare. We've not had it, so it's an easy stat to throw out. But I think if you look at the other bits in between it, we beat Arsenal in the cup. We've just beaten Olympiacos in the cup. So your stat is correct, but it's a little bit one-sided, and there's a little bit of it where you've got to recognise that there's been other games played in between that as well.
Okay. And the please.